Hi, I'm Michelle, and here with me today at BDTV is Luke Benedictus, the Deputy Editor of Men's Health. Luke, thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much.
Luke, can you tell me who reads Men's Health?
Yeah, well, Men's Health, really, it's a magazine that's designed for guys who really want to reach their full potential. So it's for guys who want to get into great shape, they want to live to 106, 107, they want to excel in their chosen career. If they've got kids, they want to be the best dad they can possibly be. So it's really, in short, it's a magazine for guys who want to optimise all areas of their life. What does that mean demographically? I suppose the average age of our reader is around sort of 34 to 35,
right.
But we go from sort of 25 to 45. So I guess, in general, our readers are guys, they're pretty ambitious, they're pretty affluent. I'd like to think, quite so optimistic about what the future holds. And I think one other thing that's important to remember is that, I guess, because our readers are relatively, body conscious, they are probably also a little bit more image focused in general than the average man on the street, and that's something that I guess is sort of consistent with that's in sync with our grooming and style advertisers.
So the men's market on a whole is kind of a tough place at the moment. How does Men's Health, or what is Men's Health doing to ensure its success?
I think the reason why we do continue to thrive in the market at the moment, it really comes down to our commitment to service journalism. Every single story in Men's Health, it has to have a practical benefit to the reader. So whether it's a story on fitness, health, nutrition, every single story has to be packed full of expert tips, insider advice, insights. And so I think that gives us a real advantage at the newsstand, because when a reader picks up a copy of Men's Health, it means that they know they're going to get some value for their money. There's going to be something of substance there. And I think that's why we continue to be Australia's best-selling men's monthly.
What criteria does a grooming product need to meet to fit into the pages of Men's Health?
Well, I guess it's a question of, what does a guy want from a grooming product? And I suppose they want something that, first of all, delivers results. They want something that's fuss-free, none of this, sort of five-step business. They want something that makes them feel, I suppose, more confident in their daily presentation. And I guess, let's face it, makes them feel, more comfortable with the opposite sex, probably. So I think if you're ticking a few of those boxes, then you've got a much better chance of getting into the mag.
And what do your readers respond to, or do they ask for in terms of grooming products?
Well, I think what our readers respond to in terms of our grooming coverage on a whole, I think what they really want from us is just no-nonsense, independent information, because it's really interesting at the moment. I mean, obviously the men's grooming market has exploded. Guys are realising that if they have more than a toothbrush and a razor in their wash bag, it doesn't mean they're on a slippery slope to getting Botox 4 times a week. But at the same time, it's not as though guys talk about it that much. It's not as though you go to the pub and they're going to guys sort of discussing the relative virtues of their moisturisers or anything like that. So I think there's a real onus on us at Men's Health to provide that sort of information. To give them guys everything they need to know about grooming products and just provide them with that service.
Earlier this year, you won the Fragrance Foundation's Jasmine Award for the Best Practical Feature, in which you detailed how to make the Men's Health fragrance. How did that feature come about?
Basically, last year I had the opportunity to interview a guy called Avery Gilbert, he's one of the world's experts on the science of smell, and he said something to me that I thought was really interesting, which was, with the exception of cigars and single malt whiskey, the topic of fragrance, it's really now largely the domain of women. And he said, look, if you don't believe me, just have a look at the sex ratio of fragrance bloggers on the internet. So basically what he was saying is that culturally, the sense of smell has become kind of increasingly feminised. And I was thinking about this and thinking, what, this is actually kind of ridiculous, that everyone's born with 5 senses. There's nothing inherently sort of female about your sense of smell. Guys are probably missing out. So we set out to do a feature that would help guys to, I guess, sort of re-engage with their sense of smell, get back in touch with their noses, and hopefully, feel a bit more confident about experimenting with a new fragrance. So what we did, in order to try and demystify a fragrance, we decided to make our own. With the help of perfumer John Lambeth, we spent a few months collaborating with him to make our fragrance, which is called MH for Men. I guess the idea behind this was to take the reader on a journey, to show them how fragrance works, what goes into it, and then what we did is we inserted the finished fragrance into the magazine on a scent strip so that they could then experience it for themselves.
Luke, have you had any response from the beauty industry following your win?
Well, I did have a couple of very kind emails sort of saying, "Oh, look, it's great you're helping to educate guys on the subject." But for me, what was probably even more satisfying is that we got an avalanche of emails from our readers sort of saying, "Oh, look, where can we buy this MH for men? Where can we buy this fragrance?" And that was really satisfying for two reasons. For one, it showed us that we'd managed to make a fragrance that didn't smell like drain cleaner. But number two, it kind of did show that guys are genuinely interested in this, and it's just a question of communicating with them on their own terms and in their own language, and that they will respond. What we had to tell all these people who were asking about the fragrance was of course, look, we didn't actually make this to sell. It wasn't a commercial venture. It was just purely an editorial initiative. And I guess the fact that we did make that investment does just show how seriously Men's Health is taking the grooming sector as a whole.
What do you think of beauty product or grooming product launches compared to other events you go to?
I don't get invited to nearly as many as, you see the beauty editors on the women's mags, Marie Claire and InStyle, they're going to sort of, a squillion every week. There aren't as many. Look, the ones I've been to, they've been very good, they've been very informative. I suppose something that does always surprise me is I'm always a bit interested in how few other men's titles are at these events. I'm not sure if that reflects a general lack of interest or whether they haven't recognised how big that sector is becoming and how important. But look, I mean, for us at Men's Health, our approach to grooming is that we just think it's an extension of it's not about vanity, it's about looking after yourself, and we think it's very much a natural extension of the brand.
Men's Health recently launched the one-shot called Coach. Are there more of these in the pipeline?
Yeah, look, I mean, Coach that's actually been imagined as a quarterly offering, so we've got another one of those coming out very soon. The idea behind Coach, the whole magazine's on a sort of Q&A format, so it's like sort of questions that a reader would ask, a highly experienced personal trainer or coach. In general, I guess the thing is, we currently feel that Men's Health now we're sufficiently established that we can now start to explore other editorial opportunities and extensions on the newsstand. So we're exploring those avenues very closely, and there are a few things in the pipeline. So I mean, it's quite an exciting time for us. I suppose bottom line is, Men's Health, we are the best-selling men's monthly, but we're not going to sit back here. We're very actively looking out to pursue fresh opportunities.
And finally, Luke, what can a PR do to get your attention?
Look, I think just remember that our whole attitude towards all these stories, it's all about service journalism. So look, just think of it in terms of what can your product do to solve a guy's sort of grooming problems? How can they use them? If you've got any medical or scientific information behind any of your ingredients, that always helps. If you've got an expert, a dermatologist or a perfumer who's available for us to quote or get some advice from, that always helps. But the main thing to remember is just that service journalism emphasis.
Luke, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us today.
Thanks very much for your time.